Good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining Jason Livanis and me in the Meta Cafe for your daily Astrology, Human Design, and Tarot report. And Jason and I, just before the show started, I always call this a show. It's really not a show.
Yes, it is.
Okay. So just before the show started, Jason and I were talking about anxiety. And we're talking about
anxiety. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. High anxiety because we're human beings, aren't we, Jason?
Yeah.
As much as we think we were just dropped here, as much as I sometimes think I was just dropped here from some other planet and I got lost in the cosmos somewhere, and found this little blue planet and landed here thinking, oh, well, maybe I can do some good here. Yeah. This planet right now is being bathed in a lot of high anxiety. Well, let's not call it high anxiety, high energetic particles. And those particles, when they are absorbed by our being, tend to crystallize and form anxiety pockets where we are weakest. And if you're weakest, let's say in the stomach, then your stomach is going to be the one that's going to reflect to you all of that high anxiety. If you're weakest in your bones and joints, then it's going to settle there, and on throughout the physical body, because the body is just a reflection of the energetic principles that are in the universe at the moment. And so one of the things that I was looking at this morning, remember all week long we have had, hold on, let me grab my little calendar off of here, my little cheat sheet of things. All week long so far, since Sunday, we had the Sun conjunct Mercury and Venus squaring Saturn. Square should already kick off in your head. Challenge. Mercury, the next day, squaring Pluto. The next day, the Sun squaring Pluto. The next day, today, Mars squaring Saturn. You get a picture here of squares. If you look at an astrology chart, and I'm going to make sure you see this, you see that it forms a T-square.
Move it over to your right, Janet. There, stop. Great.
Okay. So you see that black outlined spot? That is a T-square. Okay. And a T-square is a highly challenging aspect. And you'll note that the point of this T-square is at, oops, where's my pen? Here we go. The point of the T-square is at Saturn, at the galactic center. Hoo-hoo. Right? We already talked about the fact that, and Lilith, by the way, is also there. Go back to my... So right here at this point.
When do we get some relief, Janet? What's up?
It's coming. As we get later into this month, after we get past the new moon. If we can get past the new moon, people, without a war being declared or some kind of military action with North Korea, and I breathe sigh, heavy of relief. If we can get past the new moon without that kind of thing, I think we are in for smoother sailing for the next couple of months.
Help me out and the other idiots that don't know, like me. When is the new moon?
The new moon is October 19th. So we've got another week or two of this. We're feeling this buildup because T-squares need to be relieved. And here, I'm going to draw another little line for everybody right now on where the relief should be. And the relief comes
to your right. There you go. There.
Right. You see the circle up there top where the green is? The green, I can't tell if you can tell if it's green. Let me hide this.
Is it up at like 1 o'clock?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Up there is the empty spot directly opposing the point of that. So let's see. Saturn today sits at 22 of Sag. So 22 Gemini is our release point. So wherever Gemini is in your chart.
How do you know which angle of the triangle will release?
Because it's the opposite side of the point where it's pointing to, which it's pointing to Saturn at 22 Sagittarius. The opposing point to that is 22 Gemini. So Gemini is sign, wherever the house is in Gemini, my release point, the release point in this chart here puts it in the 8th, 9th house of expanding your senses, seeing things from a higher perspective. In your own personal chart, for example, Jason, where's Gemini? You have a Gemini moon. I would bet this is...
It's 3 degrees out of Cancer.
I can't necessarily... Let me see if I can pull up your chart. Just because nobody's really watching us at the moment anyway, so I have time. Oh, that's so if I can pull up your chart, I'm going to see. I just want to pull up your chart because I want to know where your moon is sitting. I think it's sitting at 28.
Well, while you're doing that, I'll blab a little bit. I have to tell everybody yesterday, you know, I'm as much as I am properly medicated for my bipolar scenario and feel completely balanced and healthy. Yesterday, I did not feel normal. So I'm walking around and I'm with my sister, and everybody knows, they see my crazy Greek sister in the back. It's become like a joke now. But we were out and we were getting something to eat, and we're sitting there, and I had some delicious chicken soup that the Latinos make in these gorgeous, gorgeous restaurants around here. Inexpensive. And I looked up for my soup, and tears dropped out of my face, and my sister looked at me and she said, "What the fuck?" As a sister would do. Excuse me, I'm dealing with allergies that are terrible today. And I said to her, I don't know why I'm crying. She said, well, I do. She said, you know, focus for a minute, Jason. Maybe somebody's passing or some. I got static. It happened 3 more times, and I said, what the fuck? Do I have my period? I mean, what's wrong with me? And so, to be honest with you, yesterday was kind of a wash of a day for me. Emotionally, physically, I was like, wow. You know, I wrote my show, or at least I wrote like 75% of it, because we'll never get through it all tonight, because it's a card. I don't know. But anyway, it's a card that's fun. Because none of the symbology has anything to do with the card that I have. There's like maybe 1 or 2 little things, and it's a heavy hitting card, and it's like after the tower and after the star, what's left? What else could there be? Oh fuck.
I'll tell you what, though, that card is disturbing when you look at it. I posted it yesterday with your show on Living Astrology's Facebook page, and I'm looking at that card going, there's just something extremely disturbing about this, as in the head of the moon is disconnected from the body of the woman.
Disconnected.
Totally disconnected. And I don't know. I look at the card and I go,
I'll tell you, the ancient interpretation of this card is completely different. And I say
different from your interpretation, or different from what we generally speaking think of it today?
Let me hit it from number 1, my own personal channeled interpretation. But I start out my radio show when I was writing stuff, that one of the things we need to remember with these cards, with astrology, like you have said, is that, for instance, with the astrology, there was all this new sign thing. And so I'm a Kappa Sagittarian or whatever. And, you know, you said, look, astrologers, we need to get on the ball. We need to shift a little and modulate a little, because now we're living in different times. And I think that's a very mature, pragmatic, wonderful, up-to-date way of looking at astrology. Like, okay, folks, we can use this lens, but here's another lens that could be very helpful.
Yes.
Well, excuse me. Well, when it comes to this card, how do I say this? It's at such a high level of spirituality in certain ways that unless you're Jesus or Buddha, it's very, very hard to sort of make it connect from the old meaning. Not that the old meaning isn't valuable, necessary, and when you finish the book of Initiation, there's this fantastic moment that she talks about, a precipice, whereby you think everything is right and you're on your way, and then you have one thought that catapults you back.
Oh God, what page is that on? Because that is so my life right this minute.
Well, I don't have the page memorized.
Damn it, Jason. Come on now.
But
here's the book Initiation
it is
for everybody
very,
to see.
very hard Yes, and if you have the older version like mine, it's all bright red. However, getting back, what I think is fascinating is that it talks about, very much like the art card and stuff, people who have prepared the vehicle only up to a certain point. And so when I see this card, I don't really find it too relevant, the old or the antiquity, the meaning of from antiquity, as I have found it is applicable in my 20 years of experience throwing this card down. Janet, I almost always get this card for people who are worse disillusioned than the star card. That whole, I'm holding the star, it's going down, it looks like a flower. That's disillusionment. And in the Cancer card, she's has her hands like this. Come to me, come to me, come to me. She is the bitch that will take you off your course. She is the one that will lull you into a fake sense of security. She is the one that says, go ahead and have that drink. Go ahead and have that snort. Go ahead and smoke yourself into oblivion so that you are disconnected.
Go ahead and eat all that sugar.
Yeah.
It isn't going to affect your blood sugar, but for one day.
Yeah. Well, basically what this it is the card of distraction. The biggest card, in my opinion, and when I write my book, you know, it's going to be the modern interpretation of it, because it's Cancer, the moon card, and she brings you into the earth, and she nurtures you, and she holds on to you. And she brings you underneath. Now, the reason she does that, we'll get into the show. I don't want to blab too much here today, but I'll tell you, it's going to be an interesting thing, because I just believe that the old has a lot of symbology that's necessary. I just don't find too many people who are ready to ascend in this world.
You know what's funny about this whole thing is that the moon today and into tonight, when you go to do your show, is in the sign of Cancer. I mean, talk about synchronicity, timing,
Yes.
timing, all that stuff is just so wonderful and validating when you see something like this happening. Right now, the moon is in Cancer, will be even through the day.
Emotional, right? Emotional, crazy.
Emotional, definitely. And, you know, not only emotional, but taking us to our soul. You know, this is a soul type of connection. And maybe that's what I find disturbing in the card, is that it feels almost like you're being seduced into something.
This is it.
That can take you out of your soul's path.
Well, interestingly enough, yes, she seduces you, but you see she's riding on water. And we'll get into this in the show. In the original card, in the foreground, there's a huge blue pool where there's a large crayfish that's red in it. It looks very archaic. It's like a jumble of symbology that makes no sense. It's not really, a great looking card. But anyway, the crayfish, the red crayfish, symbolizes your spirit, our spirit. What happens? Crayfish has to go down into the water, and that's called the pool of memories.
And why a crayfish? What does crayfish or crawfish?
I'm looking into it, because even as I was writing the show, I thought, I need to look into the fucking crayfish.
Yeah.
It's red, which always denotes spiritualism.
Yes, but true. So spiritual crayfish.
Is that this card can lure you off your path. It also will lure you into your memories. So you have to get a settled account with things. So if you had some shit from the past that didn't go well, and you're like, God, I wish that ended better, it's the time that you have to settle that account. So it's an interesting idea. This pool of memories is what it's called. That's the original name of it. This repository for all of our memories. And our spirit has to delve into it in order to get past it.
So here's what I found so far. If this totally makes sense. The crayfish lobster symbol meanings deal with cycles, regeneration, and protection. These creatures are lunar symbols and thus messengers of the subconscious and the unknown.
Will you do me a favor and keep that up so you can read that on the air tonight?
Sure.
Pardon me. So anywho, you were looking up some stuff before we got sidetracked.
Yes, I was looking up your chart because I wanted to see where Gemini was in your chart. And for you, Gemini falls in the 4th house. So it would stand to reason that connection to family and home may be triggers for some of your emotional stuff that you're feeling. And your moon is in 28 degrees of Gemini. So it's not far from, what the Saturn, let's see, it's Saturn and Chiron and Venus are creating in terms of an anxiety. Chiron is about the wounded healer, Venus, love and relationships, and of course Saturn, duty, responsibility, limitation, constrictions. And so it would seem that that's hatched a bunch of feelings for you. And then the way to take that feeling and deal with it is through being home, being secure, looking at your foundation and what anchors you, what feeds you. If you have a root system on the planet, what's your root system and who's in it, what's in it, how does it show up for you in your life? Like for me, it's my family.
And what kind of earth are we rooting into?
Yeah.
What kind of dirt are we working with?
And the dirt you're working with in this case is going to be Gemini dirt, because that sounds funny, which means it can have a duality about it. It can have two faces. In other words, it can be the face of, I feel really good when I'm here at home with my family and safe and sound. But on the other hand, a part of me really longs for more independence and more solidity, being on my own. And so those could be two parts of you that are, connected to one another in a not so pleasant way. And I think you eventually you come to the emotional outlet of, in this moment, in this day, in this time, in this 1 minute, I am fine, right? I am okay. There isn't anything that I need to change. I can't really make a big change in this moment anyway, right? If you take your life moment by moment, rather than, because fear is in the future, fear is in the past. Relatively speaking, fear, unless you're in a threatening situation, fear isn't in this moment. It's because your mind has wandered forward or your mind has wandered backwards that fear comes into play. So, and I'd say we're dealing with a lot of it because our outer world keeps showing us god-awful fear. Fires, people dying in fire, wildfires. I mean, we've come through floods. We have a president that's trying to take us to the brink of war. Remember I told people, when did I tell people this? I think it was back in August, Jason, on either a radio show or one of these morning things that we do. I said, watch when we get to October, because secrets would start to be revealed.
Yes.
And secrets are beginning to be revealed. Look at this Harvey Weinstein thing where, for years, is it Harvey or Henry? Harvey, where for years, women were being abused and sexually assaulted and sexually abused, molested, harassed, and nothing was going on. And now it was sort of like a Bill Cosby sort of moment where suddenly now all these secrets are being revealed about what the inner workings of Hollywood were like with this particular producer, director, whatever he is. And
I've been unplugged. What happened? This guy was a big rapist and was using a casting couch, basically made everything.
Stars like Gwyneth Paltrow, Rose McGowan, and what was that other girl's name?
Regardless, all
coming forward, stepping forward and saying, yeah, I was propositioned by this guy. I was told that I would get better roles if I did, give him a blowjob. Just unspeakable things going on in this modern day and age with women in Hollywood. And if you don't do these things, then the threat is, then I'll sink your career. And all of this coming to the surface now to the point where he's had to resign his directorship of the Weinstein Company or the movie studio, and is likely going to end up in court. And his wife is divorcing him now. And so it's pretty much a big stramish out there in the world from a secret being revealed, somebody stepping up and saying, this isn't right.
And what? People go back to that show. or whatnot and see the exact same day I pulled 7 of discs. Secrets and lies.
Secrets and
Remember
lies.
that?
Secrets and
Remember
lies.
that?
We've done that a lot, actually. We pulled quite a few times that particular card. And I think it sets the tone for what's going to happen. Like, is there anybody out there right now that doesn't feel like something is going on under the surface? Because I feel it, and I'm not usually tuned into that kind of depth. But my husband last night said to me, I think something's happening. I mean, there's this thing that we feel like it's just bubbling below the surface, and it hasn't quite broken out yet, but it will. It will. Secrets revealed.
And please, folks, don't misunderstand us. Janet and I, especially if you've listened to our radio shows, we're not gloom and doom sayers.
No, this isn't gloom and doom.
That's not how we roll. And it's also not like, we're also not like wearing pastel colors and eating Easter eggs and going, everything is great. No. But for us to say something like this, I mean, the other day, what was it? Some announcer was on TV, and they just quickly went through the roster of the things that have been happening. And when you hear them in a row, you go, that's pretty fucked.
Exactly. And not only do you come to that conclusion, but you realize then that how much your nerves have been on edge because of these things that are happening to you one time after another. I guarantee you there's some higher purpose to all of that. I have yet to discover it. But hopefully, it's because my mind is working on it. Obviously, it's going to show up at some point in time, the reason. I suspect I already kind of know, but I don't want to say anything about that yet because it may not be right.
Right.
In the meantime, though, today is, a mixed bag day. We're still dealing with these squares, and we're still dealing with the moon in Cancer, which makes us more emotional, more wanting to stay at home and be nurtured. So one of the best things you could probably do for yourself today is to take care of yourself. Like, yeah. I had to remind my husband before he left to stay cool, calm, and collected. Don't get into the traumas and the dramas, because that's going to unseat you emotionally. And
hey, you know what? That should be our new group. Instead of the mamas and the papas, the dramas and the trauma. Sorry.
Join us tomorrow on the Trauma Drama Show.
Yes.
So anyway, Jason, it's your turn. Give us a card.
No.
Please.
All right, hold on.
Pretty please, with sugar on top.
Go to the kitchen. All right.
Why are you pacing?
I was going back and forth from the kitchen. I was getting some of my tea stuff. Anyway, all right. So, okay.
Not because you're nervous.
Let's see. Let's get what we got here. Oh. Huh. Well. Maybe it's not all for shit.
Oh, we've had this card before. This is the 6 of Cups. Beautiful card. Gifts, right? Gifts of the spirit.
Those are Chinese cups of money, the hands of Buddha, the lotus blossom, the divine source supporting us. This is a card that says, there are 2 cards that speak to me of Zen Buddhism. It is the Hierophant, which is the card that I use on my own personal business cards. And then there is the 6 of Cups, this rotating, spinning wheel. It talks about the fact that in order to get through this kind of movement and to reap the most reward from it is to stay in observation, is to look at it. Don't get roped up into it. Don't get sucked into it. Be like, this is what's happening with Jason's body today. This is what's going on with Jason's blah, blah, blah today. Notice how I'm talking about Jason as if I'm not inside me.
Like third person Jason.
Correct. So taking some objectivity with respect to all the things that are going on around you, spinning around you, you will get through it beautifully today. You just can't react. You just can't buy that flamethrower. You get my drift?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. Don't buy the flamethrower. Don't use the flamethrower if you already have one. Stay in the gifts of the day.
Yes. So
stay
yeah,
in appreciation and gratitude, and
the observation will get you through it. In other words, don't get wrapped up, like you said, in the drama and trauma. That's all.
yeah.
So that's my message for today. Ooh, I have 10% battery.
Oops. I guess we're done.
I guess so. And see me tonight, and see you tonight, or hear us tonight on
Yes,
the
hear us
Blog
this
Talk
evening,
Radio.
4 p.m. Pacific time and 7 p.m. East Coast time. And tomorrow on Living Astrology, we'll be dealing, I'm sure, with symbology. I want to go into something about symbology. So we shall
Ooh,
see what happens.
one of my favorite things.
Mine too.
All right.
All right, everybody. Take care. Have a blessed day and take it easy. This too shall pass. Secrets shall be revealed. And I dare say we will still survive. And we will live to tell the tale. And we shall overcome, to quote
Yes.
some famous or another gentleman. We love you. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.